How are you guys? Don't forget to leave a review and enjoy the story. Enjoy watching. The story begins. The world has entered the era of virtual reality. Each person's virtual reality is limited only by the power of their personal VR device. One of the virtual games, namely Next Stage Online, has captured the minds of everyone, especially the youth. The uniqueness of this virtual reality is that the character's physical abilities correspond to the participant's real abilities. The younger the participant, the better the character's reflexes and physical performance. One of the problems with the game was that a team of pro gamers under the nickname Crazy Slime came to events for newbies and did whatever they wanted. They want to be at the top of all the rankings. This game is a youth hit. Turbulent events in the life of our hero began to occur a week earlier. Our hero is an intelligent young man, dressed in a classic men's suit, wears glasses, and is a classic example of what is called a white-collar worker. Today he says goodbye to his colleagues at work due to his dismissal. He collects his personal belongings and reflects that he decided to resign on his own without waiting for his superior's decision, because that's how the circumstances turned out. As he leaves the office, he recalls how the current situation came about. He worked in a department that developed retro-style games. This style is rare these days, as time moves on inexorably. When a new plan was developed, he went to the head of the department with a report. He took the plan in his hands, turned it over, and said unambiguously, "Everything is clear. Overall, not bad, but a little old-fashioned," he added. And the concept is kind of vague. As he left the office, MC recalled his boss's words. The game doesn't correspond to the spirit of our time. He thought, it's impossible to believe that the boss treats the retro genre like that, so he probably has no reason to keep an employee who only lives in the past. Thus, MC decided to resign. With his personal belongings and a bouquet of flowers, as a token of gratitude for his time with the company, he heads home. Along the way, he ponders what to do next. He has savings, but he still needs to look for a new job. Passing by the shopping center, MC hears a child's crying voice, "Mom, I want to." And the mother's answer is, "No, it's too early for you." Turning his head towards the child, he notices that in front of him is a computer store with a display case with VR gadgets. Above the display case is an advertisement. A full-fledged virtual VR game of the new generation is already here. MC decides to enter the salon. Having greeted, the salon employee explains that their game is the most popular. It attracts all players. The users of this game are like migrating fish. Inside the cabin, in the center, he sees a chair with virtual reality gadgets for the player. He picks up the instructions and the installation kit of computer disks. The employee explains that when the participants get bored with the game, they swim to another game, following the example of fish. MC has doubts. What if? They continue to explain to him that now is the era when people communicate with each other through games, without really focusing on the game itself. The MC sits in the player's chair, puts on VR glasses, connects VR gadgets. He understands that he must adapt to the current era. The game setup is completed and the program starts. From this day on, he is the same fish. The host of the game, a virtual hare, appears on the screen in front of him. The game begins. He moves to an unknown time and space and cannot understand where he is. He himself is in the image of an adventurer. The host hare extends his paw and says welcome. He reports that they are in the world of NSO, Nexteria, and his master Kudzi is expected here. Thanking him, MC ponders, despite the fact that his real name is Nagai Kudzi. In this game, he'll be just Kudzi. There are some difficulties with creating a character. There were options to choose the image of the old man Ku. You could become a female character. But since he's in the game for a long time, for his own peace of mind, he creates a character similar to himself. The hare explains that they are in a city park. This is a crowded place, and at the moment, everyone present is located around the fountain and busy with their own business. Someone is having conversations. Someone is practicing elements of combat with weapons. Some are doing physical exercises and just walking. The host explains that weapons and skills can be used in the city. Other players will not take damage. However, it is not recommended for players to experiment here if they want to keep their skills secret. Amazing. That's what VRMOs are like. Kudzi muses, he never thought it would be so realistic. The hare beckoned MC with his paw again. And so, he states that Kudzi must choose one of the character's 3 starting professions. The choices are mage, warrior, and archer. Each profession has its own status, equipment, and skills. The host continues. Within 3 days from the moment of the first entry, you can freely change your profession. Also, during these 3 days, it is impossible to die. It is necessary not to be afraid to try new things and boldly go into battle. Kudzi chooses a warrior first. He grips the sword tightly in his hand, and with a cry, the guys carefully rush into battle. He is confronted by an orc. Everyone is worried about MC. Confident in his immortality, he rushes into battle again and again. After the battle is over, he realizes how cool it all is. Kudzi goes to the tablet to check his player status and sees on the screen. Current status: Profession, Warrior. Level, 120th. Health, 80/80. Magic, 20/20. Attack, 20. Defense, 16. Magic attack, 2. Magic defense, 2. Speed, 8. Spirit, 0. Skills, none. On the screen, he clearly sees all the strengths and weaknesses of his hero. MS understands that, as in all games, some indicators are much weaker than others. But he doesn't understand the spirit option, where he has 0, what this option is responsible for. He thinks he'll have to study all the options of the game space. A voice is heard behind him. Excuse me. Kudzi turns around and asks again who called out to him. He sees 3 beautiful girls in front of him who ask him if he would like to join their party. MC is embarrassed and his face turns red from excitement. He replies that such beauties are harmful to his old heart. He doesn't mind, but why do they choose him, he wonders. One of the girls standing in the center explains that they want to go into a real fight, but to do this they need to create a party of at least 4 people. And he also looks very strong. Kudzi arrives at a loss. He becomes even more confused, and it seems his abilities are obvious. MC is eager to show what a former gaming industry worker can do. He agrees and shouts, "Let's go," and takes up arms, ready to fight. The battle begins. MC can't keep up with the actions in the battle. He thinks that in the game the physical indicators correspond to the real ones, but for some reason he has no control over his body at all. He can't understand why his partners can do everything so easily. It's probably because of their youth. He's too old for them. One of the girls shouts, "Kudzi, an enemy is coming towards you." At that moment, a giant saber-toothed rabbit jumps out straight at him. MC takes a fighting stance, ready to meet the enemy. The rabbit immediately and at great speed bites into the neck area. Kudzi feels unbearable pain. His party mates come to the rescue, launching a fireball at the rabbit. The rabbit is thrown back by the shockwave. MC realizes that he has been saved. Kudzi thanks his saviors. They say he didn't adjust the pain settings. But MC doesn't know what this parameter is. The girls explain that these settings are set to maximum by default. According to experts, this helps sharpen other senses and the character's movements become more precise. Kudzi understands what is said, but even with all the benefits, the pain is too unbearable. He says he will change the settings and is ready to try to fight again. No, the girls think that they've already kept him for so long, and it is wrong of them. They thank him for his participation and part with the hope of seeing each other again. Kudzi reflects that his neck no longer hurts, but now his heart is broken. He has been rendered useless. MC hears, "Nagai, you can go home early today." This is his work partner speaking. We are brought back to reality and find ourselves in the office of a computer company. Kudzi asks again if he needed help with the data. He replies that he asked another person to help with it because Kudzi is too meticulous in such matters. If they are delayed, no one will be happy, Kudzi believes. He is back in the virtual world. Only the first fight is over. MC decides to reset all settings to 0 and repeat everything. He thinks that when he returns to the city, he will join another party. But in the city, a new hell awaits him. It did not suit him, and he decides to try the role of a magician. At this moment, a young blonde guy invites him to join their company. Kudzi agrees. At first, everything went well. A new battle has begun among the mages, and Kudzi receives a huge number of complaints. He casts a spell too slowly and starts at the wrong time, causing strong hostility from the party leader. MC understands that his incompetence is his own fault, but he finds it humiliating when the youth scold him. He decides to leave the party. Kudzi, after thinking about it, decides that it is easier to be a warrior and therefore changes his profession to a warrior again. A young warrior invites him to a new party. He thinks that Kudzi looks decent and invites him to join their company. As soon as practical actions begin, he again receives a huge amount of negativity. How does he move? He is too old in reality, so only with air can he fight. Where does he look? Only the role of support suits him, and he is offered to give up this idea. But this fight doesn't end with just insults. He gets a new skill, Heavenly Slash Blade. This skill allows him to create a wind cutter with a swing of his sword. It seems like a normal skill, but at what cost? The system menu informs that this skill was given in honor of a gesture of desperation for persistent efforts throughout the battle. Hammer is an old man. His partner praises him, adding that he couldn't have acquired such a skill even in his entire life. MC doesn't understand whether this is mockery or praise, but in fact it's quite funny. In this game, skills are gained not only for leveling up and defeating monsters, but also for your playstyle. He leaves this party too. Online games are big, and it scares him. Kudzi is immersed in a memory of his previous job. Before his eyes is the scene of his last working day at his previous job, the office of a computer company, where Kudzi addresses his resignation letter to the director of his company. The gentleman asks again. Nagai, yes. MC answers correctly. He thinks that he is not needed in the company and is a hindrance, and even if he is asked to stay, he has already made his decision. The director comes closer, puts his hand on Kudzi's shoulder, and says, well, Nagai, it's a shame you're leaving. Good luck to you in your next job. Kudzi throws a bottle of potion, saying this is for you. To his former partners, they look at him in surprise. MC believes that even in the VR world, no one needs him, just like in the real world. And he'd better find a job where he doesn't have to interact with people. A young man shouts after him, hey, old man. Kudzi turns around and sees the young blonde warrior from the last party, who says that he previously thought that the warrior's job was not for Kudzi, but the option with a mage is not suitable because they're always pushed around like slaves, especially healers. He suggests becoming an archer. It is not the most popular profession, but in the future, everything may change. Archer? Kudzi thinks about this profession. The status signals informing him about something. MC angrily thinks, what kind of status is this? He decides to stay in the game and opens the status menu. On the way, he reflects that he tried himself as a warrior and a magician, but he did not succeed. So one young player advised him to try another profession, namely to become an archer. After looking at the information about this profession and the status, it became clear to him why this is the most unpopular class. Status: profession, archer, level 120th, health 50-50, magic 50-50, attack 15, defense 8, magic attack 10, magic defense 10, speed 11, range 0. He understands that compared to other professions, this one has a completely balanced status, no strong points. The only advantage is speed, but you also have to consider the capabilities of your real body. It's useless for him. There's only one hope. MC reflects that each profession has its own unique status. For the warrior, this is the spirit. When health drops to a certain level, the player's defense and attack indicators decrease. The boost depends on the spirit points and health level. For the mage, this is a miracle. There's a chance that the spell will go out of control. The attack power and effectiveness of such spells are significantly higher. Also, the expenditure of magic power can be reduced to 0. And for the archer, it's range. Having chosen a suitable weapon for himself, a bow, he believes it is necessary to test his skills. He chooses a giant gorilla as his opponent. It's just a huge monster with fangs sticking up. Kudzi wonders if he chose too big an opponent. Long-range shooting skills, and he's not against fighting, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Initially, it has the ability to increase the firing range by 1 meter multiplied by the specified digital indicator. And now its range is 5. He takes aim at the gorilla and releases the arrow. But the arrow does not reach the target. The distance turned out to be too great. The MC decides to increase the value using level-up points. At this point, the gorilla moves further and further away. Kudzi increases range to 15. This time the shot is accurate. The gorilla, feeling pain, turns around and sees the offender. This enraged and ferocious giant rushes in pursuit of Kudzi. He understands that there is no time to think about how good or bad everything turned out. He needs to take his legs in his hands and run as fast as he can. He miraculously manages to escape. One level gives +5 to range. And if everything goes the same, then at level 10, it will have +50 meters, Kudzi believes. All these figures apply to the standard bow. For the extended range bow, everything will be different. Standing on a tree branch, he thinks that he will be able to shoot this from a distance of 100 meters, and the enemy will not notice him. There will not even be a need to hold his breath. It will be enough to simply stand and shoot at the enemy. This will effectively be a victory without a fight, Kudzi believes. Kudzi fires again and hits the gorilla. It is in confusion that he does not understand what is happening. MC thinks that compared to other players, he will lack firepower. Since he will focus on range, he will have to rely on weapons and skills. But he does not think that will be a big problem. He will be able to shoot endlessly while the enemies try to figure out where he is. Kudzi believes he has found the best strategy. He hadn't felt such a sense of satisfaction for a long time, and I completely forgot how this could be. When he has the opportunity to test his own idea in practice, Kudzi realizes that in order to fight the giant gorilla, he needs to raise his firing range to the ceiling. The gorilla noticed him and ran after him. At this time, a brunette girl in the form of a cat is quietly observing everything that is happening. He managed to escape from the gorilla, and this time he decides to take revenge on the rabbit and shoots it and gets valuable loot, the rabbit's front tooth. Kudzi considers this an excellent result. After all this, he decides to focus on leveling up in the beginner hunting grounds. Here, he is able to deal with all the monsters on his own. Although Kudzi has never held a bow in his life, he feels it as a part of his body. Kudzi continues to train in the beginner's grounds and exterminate low-level rabbits. MC thinks that maybe this is his destiny. After a short time, he reaches level 7. As the level increases, the MC's movements become easier. He has not yet upgraded the shooting range. He has a desire to immediately use all the accumulated points for improvement in order to achieve a more noticeable effect. Kudzi continues to walk through the hunting grounds. An unfamiliar cat girl continues to watch him from shelter. She wonders why MC is only pumping up the level. MC hears heavy stomping behind him. Looking back, he sees a giant bloody bear catching up with him. He has doubts that this is a real hunting ground for beginners. He understands that he must run from such a giant, not try to kill. But he has doubts about his speed. The bear bared its teeth and growled. Kudzi looked into its eyes with fear. But there is no way out. He is not going to give up without a fight. He takes out his bow, and when the bear opens its mouth, Kudzi at that moment loads 3 arrows, and it strikes with a precise hit right in the mouth. With a wild roar, the huge monster is struck and falls backwards. For such a monster, he gets loot, bloody bear fur. MC thinks he's cool today. He wants all the sorceresses from the previous party to see it. Among other things, he gets a skill short-range arrow for killing an enemy at close range with a long-range weapon. He gets a reward. Kudzi thinks it's very nice. MC thinks the skill sounds cool, but wants to test it out. Maybe do it in the party grounds or somewhere safer. At this moment, he looks around the area and notices a tree. Kudzi climbs this tall tree, and the view in front of him is absolutely stunning. The sunset in the sky brings back memories. While resting, MC thinks that it would be nice to improve his skills some more, but it's time to wrap up. He has already leveled up to level 9 and has 10 points. Kudzi decides to invest all the points he has earned into increasing his range. Current status is as follows. Profession, Archer. Level, 9/20. Health, 50-50. Magic, 50-50. Attack, 15. Defense, 8. Magic attack, 10. Magic defense, 6. Speed, 11. Range, 25. Skills, short-range arrow. Kudzi knows that the basic bow has a firing range of 15 meters. With upgrades, he can increase it to 40 meters. Now he wants to see his new skill in action. He wonders if he'll be as lucky as last time. At the same time, there's a wonderful opportunity to test the newly acquired skill. The decision is made. Kudzi goes hunting. He decides to use a short-range arrow for a powerful shot at short range. He chooses a bloody bear as his opponent. At a distance of 15 meters, Kudzi realizes that a normal shot will not be powerful enough, and this shot will not even scratch the bear. But now his range is 25, and according to his calculations, the shot should not lose its power. With one shot, he destroys the beast. The bear lets out a heart-rending roar. The short-range arrow proves to be a powerful weapon. It can be considered the main weapon. A cat girl is watching him. Watching Kudzi, she realizes that he has gained good skills as an archer. At this point, MC thinks that it is time for him to return to the city and log out. This archer, says cat girl. He doesn't make a single mistake. Such a result cannot be explained by simple luck. The only thing he lacks is mobility. Smiling Beauty, the cat girl, thinks that after returning it will be fun in any case. A day later, this time, Kudzi decides to go deeper into the forest. He climbs higher up a tree and spots his target. He is not yet at the level to visit the party hunting grounds, so he has to hunt low-level monsters. He sees a giant snake crawling between the thickets. It is difficult for him to aim, as the snake is too nimble. MC is embarrassed. He feels a little awkward using the new skill in front of other players. But it is necessary to try. Kudzi decides to use a chain arrow. This projectile bounces off objects until it hits a player or monster, or until the shooting range ends. He shoots, the arrow hits a tree and bounces off into another. The snake notices this with confusion. The arrow bounces off the tree and hits the target, making a shrill sound. For dessert, MC says and sends the next arrow. Watching how the snake was struck, MC thinks it is difficult to predict where the arrow will bounce, but such a projectile helps to hide its location. This is a big advantage. The chain arrow is given as a reward for reaching a certain level. Yesterday, when MC was leaving NSO, he started collecting information about it. There was almost no information about the archer. It is a completely unpopular profession. Kudzi believes that he will have to experience everything on his own skin to understand the peculiarities of his profession. An event for beginners should take place soon. MC is pumping up to defeat the gorilla, but he is not averse to trying for the sake of the event. Return to virtuality. At this time, our hero is attacked by a giant spider. Kudzi is surprised when this creature managed to crawl up. He shouts threateningly for the spider to stay away. MC tries to get up, but the spider pushes him back. Kudzi is clearly frightened by the monster's terrifying appearance, but he takes out his bow and pulls the string. using a short-range arrow and blowing this one to pieces. Kudzi barely has time to catch his breath, but notices that he is receiving a skill, which means that for defeating weak opponents, they also receive a reward. The skill is called Shooting One. It allows you to increase attack and range by 10, provided that you wear a bow. The reason for obtaining this skill is to master the skill of wielding a bow. Kudzi is pleased that he is recognized as an archer. He understands this is a passive skill. He believes that a new challenge is emerging before him. MC drinks a potion and thinks he pumped everything in his shooting range, so his other skills are not developed. It is necessary to learn to notice the enemy from afar. In a state of contemplation, he hears a voice that tells him to concentrate and try to feel someone else's presence next to him. He must learn to create an image of an enemy in his head that may appear. Nothing works, Kudzi thinks. Using a healing potion helped restore some of his health. He continues to walk around the grounds and realizes that he must be very attentive to the sounds and movements around him. He decides to take a short walk around the training grounds and believes that looking at his weak appearance, some monster will definitely attack him. The steps of a running beast can be heard. A pack of wolves runs out to meet him. He thinks maybe he should retreat, but if he defeats the pack, he will grow as a player, both in terms of level and skill. Kudzi pulls the bowstring and shouts, "Come on, attack." The wolves begin to approach Kudzi with their teeth bared. He thinks he's playing the hero, but he's really scared. Kudzi shoots one arrow, and it hits one of the wolves straight on. But the wolves surround MC and squeeze him in a vice. He understands that shooting at everyone is not an option. He needs to focus on one thing. The wolf approaches, he pulls the bowstring, but doubts that he will have time to make a shot. The wolf jumps, and is already at arm's length. Kudzi thinks that he needs to calm down. He tells himself that it is a game. Even if he loses, he won't die, although it will be a shame. At that moment, memories came flooding back, and he hears a voice that says, "Nagai, can I have you?" A blonde girl approaches Kudzi and asks for help with the code for a new build. He answers that it will be difficult, it will take some time, but he will do everything he can. The girl thanks him in advance. Late in the evening, work ends. Everyone says goodbye, and Kudzi reminds that he has not yet finished his morning request, asks for forgiveness. In response, she says that she already asked Taniguchi for help and forgot to tell him about it. The girl leaves, and her friend notices that she and Nagaya were asking for help at the same time. Most likely she is doing this to ensure herself. Kudzi continues to hear the girls' conversation, in which they say that if Taniguchi couldn't handle the task, then such an old man couldn't either. Events are once again in virtual reality. The wolf attack continues. MC, like a man, does not want to lose. As a result, the wolf pack is defeated. Kudzi receives an item, a fang of a cutthroat wolf. He thinks, even if it's all a game, but the brain doesn't perceive it that way. Looking at the wolf fangs in his hand, he thinks that although the wolves were not real, he was really afraid that they could tear him apart. And yet, he won and survived. At this moment, the cat, girl who was watching him loot the lost Kudzi, one fang of the wolf thug. She is surprised with a smile at how carefree this old man is. Kudzi continues to move deeper and deeper into the forest and meets someone who acts like the master of this forest. This is a giant gorilla. At the moment, it is fast asleep. Kudzi comes very close to the gorilla while she snores loudly. He is amazed by the size of the monster and says with admiration, the first time he did not notice how huge she was because he quickly ran away. MC ponders. For the sake of revenge, he upgraded his skills and weapons. He has a spider bow, stats, attack 20, range 30. This bow dropped from a spider-type monster, and it comes with a pretty powerful skill. Web arrow skill. The arrow is shot with sticky web. It can be used 188 times without losing magic power, MP. This skill completely immobilizes the enemy. Kudzi thinks his shooting range has doubled. Strength won't help this gorilla. The gorilla won't even know where he is, and the victory will come almost without a fight. He hopes that this is what will happen. MC takes aim at the monster and releases a chain arrow. The gorilla continues to sleep peacefully, not reacting at all. Kudzi is surprised. There is no reaction to a direct hit. Rather, the damage is minor. Well, okay, he thinks and is ready to shoot as much as he can. He fires multiple shots at the monster, but there is no result, and only a quarter of the endurance remains. At this moment, the monster opens his eyes. He wakes up. Kudzi suddenly recoiled. He is attracted by the object that the gorilla holds in his hand. He cannot figure out what it is. Taking a closer look, MC is surprised to realize that it is gorilla feces. The monster launches it with all its might and destroys everything that gets in its flight path. MC manages to avoid the effects of such an attack due to the fact that he climbed high enough up a tree. Watching the destruction that has occurred, he is amazed by the gorilla's strength. He really doesn't want to be hit by such a projectile. In general, Kudzi reflects, He doesn't want feces thrown at him in principle. Such a projectile is remembered for a lifetime. It is necessary to destroy this monster as soon as possible, believes MC. But how to do this is a big question. Kudzi suggests using close-range shooting, but then there is a risk of exposing oneself, and it is not a fact that this shooting will lead to the death of the gorilla. The monster, embittered by the injury, looks around the area, looking for the offender. Kudzi has no choice but to act immediately. He uses a chain arrow that reaches the target. The gorilla is simply furious and collects a new portion of feces. Now, he says Kudzi and pulls the bowstring. MC is not going to stop. He uses a short-range arrow that doubles the damage when hitting weak spots. The fight continues, and a web arrow is already in use, reaching its target. From this precise hit, the gorilla cannot stand and falls to the ground with a roar. Kudzi says goodbye and draws his bowstring. But the monster does not give up. He rises up in fury and catches the arrow, squeezing it with his hands. Kudzi breaks out in a cold sweat, but he maintains his composure and fires short-range arrows at the monster. 1, 2, 3. The gorilla cannot withstand such pressure and, bleeding, falls with a crash. Thus, the boss monster of the location, the Forest of Light, is killed. For the victory, MC receives an item, the Fists of the Forest Sage, and the hero's level increases to 10. Kudzi thinks he reached level 10 in his goal, which means he has grown in his development. Fists of the Forest Sage allows you to increase your range, attack 30, range 50. And in addition to them comes a skill, Black Smog, which emits a lump of smoking black mass with an unpleasant smell. All this improvement looks quite powerful, Kudzi believes. He decides to test his newly acquired skill, Black Smog, and is surprised by the information he received that he might have to extract it from his own ass. He is ridiculously curious whether this is really that fecal skill. At that moment, a black spherical lump appears in his hand. Holding in his hand, Kudzi compares it to a smoke bomb, but it gives off a disgusting smell. Feces. He launches this ball into the distance. The ball flies far and falls, creating a black curtain. The skill works, and the range also affects the throws. Kudzi observes this and compares the result to the formation of a normal dark fog, but with an unbearable smell. He really doesn't want to get into the range of such a cloud. At that moment, a new notification arrives. Kudzi looks at his tablet and finds out that information about a newbie event has arrived. MC is incredibly happy about this. Finally, it will be possible to participate in the first battle between players. The events move to a small starting town, Faust. A young man walks into a nearby bar and greets the bar owner and orders a Bloody Bear drink. At this point, Kudzi arrives in Faust, and the NSO General Branch tab opens on his tablet. This is one of the branches of the huge, anonymous message board 9CH. It is where information about the game is exchanged, from various tactics to everyday conversations. Kudzi joins one of the chats and gets acquainted with the current news. One of the users writes that the gorilla that our party was going to kill was killed by some other player. Boss monsters take a long time to recover, so you'll have to disband the party. Here's another message. Someone beat this gorilla, literally. There were rumors about it. Oh shit, another player chimes in. This gorilla knocked players off their feet with its stench alone, writes one of the first participants of the chat. This is a real failure. Maybe the admins themselves deleted this monster, one of the girls in the chat replies. I don't think so. There are obvious traces at the scene. The chat continues. And there is feces scattered everywhere. The guy in the VR glasses reacted, I don't remember another party going to kill the gorilla. Maybe the guild accidentally killed him or a random player. One of the guys in the chat doubts it. The only strange thing is that there is almost no serious damage in this area. The girl in glasses suggests that maybe this is some unique pro skill of a game participant, or one of the players could have been given a special skill. At this time, a beautiful stranger, a cat girl, who witnessed Kudzi's training in the hunting grounds, sits on the roof of one of the city houses, looks through the chat, and thinks that the participants are talking unfair nonsense in the chat. Although in the era of VR, such things are not possible. She thinks that all that remains is to wait for the next event to see who has received what skills. She can't wait for the next battle royale. At the same time, he notices that all the chat participants have switched to discussing the royal battle. Such players, who spend a lot of time chatting in chats, do not rise high to the top. It would be better if they visited the hunting grounds themselves and, like her, conducted their own investigation, rather than wasting their time. She is interested in predicting the future winner, and with a sly smile, she opens the list of tournament participants. At the same time, she recalls all the archer successes. The day of the royal battle is coming. Kudzi says 30 minutes left until the start. This is the first event in NSO for newbies. Battle Royale is an event for players level 10 and below. According to the rules, all players fight each other until there is one winner left. This time, all participants will be transferred to a completely new location, information about which will not be published until the very beginning of the event. The fighting space will shrink over time, forcing players to actively fight. The event prohibits the use of potions for healing and enhancing abilities. Chips will be scattered around the map. Unique items created for this event. This will be a recovery chip. It restores health and magical power, removes abnormal conditions. The next status boost chip improves the stats only for the duration of the event. Special action chip allows you to perform special actions, but only once. All of the above chips have powerful effects, so you need to collect as many of them as possible. Kudzi ponders that you can only take your equipment with you, and it is forbidden to change it later. It will be a shame to lose just because you suddenly want to change your gear. MC notes that he's thinking like a professional player and grins. By the way, it is allowed to use all the skills that the player acquired or upgraded while moving up to level 10. Kudzi recalls that he has gained 2 new skills. The first is the sniper's stationary stance. Its essence is as follows. If you remain stationary for 30 seconds before the shot, the range is tripled. After the shot, the stationary state is also maintained for 30 seconds. MC muses that it's a risky move, but it gives triple the range. The second is a transparent arrow. Reduces damage, but requires a lot of magic power when shooting an invisible arrow. Kudzi believes, if the skill does not kill the enemy immediately, then there is a high chance that the shooter's position will be revealed along the trajectory of the shot. But this skill will be useful for psychologically intimidating the enemy. Kudzi is sure. As a result, by the beginning of the event, MC approaches with the following indicators. Profession, Archer. Level, 10/20ths. Health, 50/50ths. Magic, 50/50ths. Attack, 15. Defense, 8. Magic attack, -10. Speed, 11. Range, 35. Has the following skills. 1. Short range arrow, 2. Chain arrow, 3. Web arrow, 4. Transparent arrow, 5. Sniper fixed stand, 6. Shooting 1. The MC is located at the gathering place of the participants. He thinks that since he has decided to take part in the event, he must try to win. A message is heard for the participants of the royal battle. Soon everyone will be transferred to the event map. Kudzi believes that everything needs to be thought through carefully. MC continues to ponder, should he hide until the end and not engage in open combat, or try to kill as many players as possible? To be honest, it's hard for him to decide, but he will definitely fight on his own terms. Kudzi is transferred to the event map, and the game begins. In front of him is the first opponent. MC sees his opponent, and at first glance thinks the start is lousy, but after taking a closer look at the opponent, he realizes he has an easy target. The terrain chosen for the battle was mountainous, and the opponent decides that he needs to quickly run away to the mountains, and no one will be able to get to him there. Not a single archer will be able to shoot him. He starts to run away very quickly. The fleeing player probably thinks that no archer will stick his nose into the event, and MC thinks this is a sound idea. But he is an exception. Kudzi sees the enemy's maneuver and does not waste time, pulling the bowstring of his bow. And with the first shot, he hits the enemy. This is the first opponent he has ever defeated in battle. This is the first PvP in a VR game. The start of the event was exciting for Kudzi. He doesn't like shooting at people, but he expected this kind of trick. This is a game, and in it you have to rejoice in any victory. Kudzi is sure. Now you need to quickly collect the loot, as well as the chips from the killed opponent. MC quickly checks everything, but is surprised to find that there is no loot. Everything is empty. He has set a goal for the game, so there is no need to be upset. More enemies need to be destroyed. Kudzi understands that it is dangerous to remain in the open space, and that it is necessary to quickly move towards the mountains. Along the way, MC thinks he has no chance in close combat, so he needs to strike first on his own terms. He shouldn't deviate from his working strategy. Having gone into the Kudzi Mountains, he comes across unknown buildings of the same construction. The entrance doors are closed. He is sure that no one has ever been to this place or robbed it. He thinks that the doors should remain closed. So he goes to the window and thinks that he must be careful. Through the window in one of the rooms, he sees chips on the table. He was lucky to find an unlooted location. As he leaves the building, he leaves the door open, believing that cautious players will not risk going inside. As a result, he gets 2 chips, attack +10, and 3 chips, special characteristic +10. Total 5 chips. Kudzi receives his next assignment. He sees a running enemy who is well equipped and has a pistol in his arsenal. MC ponders. He has the advantage in range, but the enemy wins in speed. He is faced with the problem of what to do. He takes out a transparent arrow and, using cover in the building, shoots the enemy through the window. The glass breaks, and the enemy turns around, reacts to the sound of the glass, and increases his speed, trying to hide in a safe place. MC goes out onto the balcony and pulls the bowstring. Kudzi decides not to waste time and lose the initiative. He immediately sends a short-range arrow into the enemy's back, which hits the target. The enemy is defeated with a furious cry and falls face down on the ground. This is the second enemy to be destroyed. MC breathes a sigh of relief. His plan worked. He needs to collect the opponent's chips faster. But when he was about to leave the building, it dawned on him that the defeated player had not turned around by accident. Rather, there was someone else, and Kudzi decided to lure him out with bait. He decided to leave the loot in place and observe the situation. Time passed. No one was there. He thinks maybe it's his imagination, but decides to wait another 30 seconds. There is a metallic screeching sound, and another opponent appears from the bushes. MC examines his heavy equipment and understands that the opponent decided that the arrow would not be able to penetrate the heavy armor, so he boldly moved out into the open. After some thought, Kudzi decides to use one of his skills, the web arrow, in this situation. He takes a shot. The enemy is stunned and falls, unable to move, and with a face distorted in pain, he begins to moan. He sees Kudzi approaching and tries to find out if he was the one who wounded him. Kudzi confirms that this is the result of his work. The rival asks not to rush and to take time to talk. In horror, he declares that he is ready to give up all the chips. He just asks not to kill. He begged for mercy. But MC has no other choice. This is a survival game. He has to destroy the opponent. Thus, he has 3 destroyed enemies. Kudzi sadly realizes, although it is unpleasant for him to destroy the enemy, but in the game you cannot hesitate, otherwise you will be destroyed. As a result of this battle, he receives special action chips, a magic mine, and a short teleport. He finished collecting the chips and decides to move on. At that moment, he hears a loud cry, "Hey, hold on." Kudzi, watching from behind a tree, sees another player running up to the dark-haired player, a tall, strong blonde guy with disheveled hair, asking if everything is okay. He grabs the first one. The dark-haired player doesn't understand what's going on, who these guys are around. The blonde guy says, "This is the pro player team, Crazy Slime." The first young man wonders what pro players can do at a beginner's event. Kudzi ponders what is going on here. The blonde screams, "It's obvious. These guys want to beat all the newbies and take the top." At this time, the group Crazy Slime manages to capture one of the players, namely a brunette girl in a high hat. She begged for mercy, making fun of her, bringing her to tears. One of the players laughs and asks the others if they noticed how cool the design is in NSO. Another one answers him, "Just noticed," and then adds that even the butts are cool here. Another prisoner shouts, "Enough." Then he asks if they're not ashamed to attack one girl in a crowd. He shouts that real men fight one-on-one. At that moment, one of the slugs comes up to him and steps on his head with his foot, saying that he won't shut up. The vandal with the mohawk offers to give up all the chips, and then maybe they will let the girl go, adds another of the vandals. The player does not believe the words and declares that this is a blatant lie. Then the vandal with the mohawk demands to drag the girl. And in the meantime, he continues to crush the head of the helplessly lying player with his foot. The player agrees to the deal, but first demands to let the girl go, and then he will fulfill the necessary conditions. The vandals agree. They keep their word, and, having received the chips, they release the girl. She runs away at high speed. The vandals realize that a speed boost chip was used. One of them with a mohawk wanted to get it for himself. The leader of the vandals decides that the girl may finally disappear, demands that his companions stop the fun and give chase. The girl feels the chase and is very excited, because the forces are not equal. A group of pursuers begins to catch up with the fugitive. Meanwhile, Kudzi climbs a high hill and from there sees the whole picture of what's happening. One of the vandals with a mohawk, the fastest, catches up with the girl and delivers a devastating blow with a dagger to her back. MC believes that even cruelty has its limits, and with these thoughts he takes out his bow and pulls the string. He fires his first shot at the vandal's strongest player, effectively depriving the team of their vanguard. The girl sees a flying arrow. The arrow passes through the player's neck, causing instant death. All the vandals of the Mad Slime are confused. They shout that the enemy is near. At this moment, Kudzi draws his bowstring and thinks that they should not underestimate his range. He fires a chain arrow at a running player, who in turn shouts, "Let's find him." The arrow hits the target and goes right through the skull. The player in glasses nearby screams in horror. What's going on? The leader of the vandals is afraid and thinks about it, asking where he is. The player in glasses answers that you just need to find where the enemy is hiding. The leader puts his index finger to his mouth and asks to be quiet. He clearly heard something. At that moment, an arrow flies between them at lightning speed, and they manage to dodge it. But the arrow hits the player wearing glasses. All the surviving vandals are in a state of shock. Kudzi watches from ambush and cannot understand what is happening. The leader expresses the idea that there is most likely some other invisible player here. The invisible man makes another attack, while the leader tries to defend himself using his whip, and his partner in glasses tries to simply run away. The leader realizes that the invisible player is extremely fast. Kudzi watches what is happening through the side of his bow, but he understands that it is impossible to even aim at an invisible player. MC thinks that this invisible man is good. He won't even be able to keep up with him. A cat girl bursts into the clearing with incredible speed. Kudzi sees all this, says it now, and pulls the bowstring. The cat girl attacks the leader, who tries to strike back with his whip. At this time, Kudzi fires another shot, and the arrow miraculously misses the vandal in glasses. Kudzi is annoyed by his miss, and the guy with glasses turns around to see where the projectile was fired from. Catgirl begins a duel with the leader of the crazy slime gang. And with the words, "People like you piss me off, I'll kill you all," he launches another attack. The leader is simply amazed at the speed of the girl's movement. Kudzi continues to stay in cover and watches the duel that has begun. He can't imagine how it is possible to hit such a fast opponent. It is necessary to get closer, MC thinks. At this moment, behind his back, he hears the question, "Who is he?" Kudzi realizes that he was too busy watching and let his guard down, and one of the vandals found him. But he can't figure out how he managed to do it so quickly. Most likely he used a chip, a speed dash. Vandal says, now he will know how to deal with them. And at this moment, a barely audible metallic sound is heard under the vandal's foot. This is the sound from the magic mine. The chip allows you to install a magic mine, and when activated, it makes the sound that was heard. Kudzi turns to the vandal and with a smile on his face says, "Stupid, don't move. If you move, the mine will explode." The vandal doesn't understand the situation and says, "What are you smiling about?" And at that moment, there is an explosion, and the member of the vandal group wearing glasses is destroyed. This was the sixth defeated enemy. MC exhales sharply and realizes that only the use of short teleport, which transfers him a short distance, allows him to remain unharmed. After catching his breath a little, Kudzi thinks about the fate of the catgirl. Looking from a height at the surrounding area, he sees that she has disappeared. He tries to understand whether the catgirl won the battle or died along with her opponent. At this time, voices are heard. A group of players moves towards him after hearing an explosion. MC decides to move higher up the mountain because he shouldn't stay in one place, otherwise a large group of other players could cause him a lot of problems. Kudzi moves uphill, focusing on the tower ahead, and new opponents often appear along the way, which must be destroyed. Their number reaches 17. When he finally reaches the top, he finds a stone tower there. The tower door is closed, which means there may be chips in it, MC thinks. Kudzi approaches the metal gate. He believes that it is possible to organize good firing positions at the top of the tower. At the entrance, he sets up a magic mine. The sound of the explosion of this mine will allow you to track those who approach the tower, and even if there are no chips in the tower, it will be able to raise its status quite well. At the moment, its range is 200. Kudzi muses that the range is a good option, since with the skill Fixed Sniper Stance, he can shoot at a distance of 1 kilometer. MC climbs to the top of the tower and looks around the surrounding area. He likes this location. Perhaps a murderous show will begin here soon, MC assumes. He sees the first opponent approaching the tower and immediately takes a motionless sniper stance. And with the first shot, he kills the enemy. This is his 18th victim. Analyzing my combat experience, Kudzi believes that the most problematic players are calm and focused. At a long distance, he does not have enough vision to shoot accurately, and such players quickly understand where the shooting is coming from and quickly move in his direction. He continues to think that there is an advantage in this situation as long as he does not allow his opponents to get close, and this is to his advantage. MC continues to think the tower is in the middle of a plain, and there's practically nowhere to hide in the area, and even if the enemies manage to reach the tower, he will be able to destroy them while they're climbing the stairs. At this time, the enemy influx begins to increase, and already 20 are destroyed, 21, 30, 40, and it reaches 50. Information comes in that Kudzi is in the lead in terms of the number of enemies destroyed. He gets the skill Sniper's Eye, which allows him to increase the range of vision by 2 times. The reason for obtaining this skill is the fact that he has used the range increase skill several times to destroy the enemy. Kudzi realizes that he can now see all his opponents perfectly. 51 enemies destroyed. And MC is very inspired. Everything is going great, just great. Standing at the top of the tower, Kudzi sees an incredible number of players gathered around him. He does not understand why this is happening, but he notices that the area around this tower is narrowing. The players who come again and again are incredibly angry. They increasingly fill the surrounding space with the energy of hatred. Kudzi is well aware of all this. MC falls in a deep thought, but whether he wants to or not, he will have to play the role of an evil old man. MC decides and takes a motionless sniper stance with all determination and a grin on his face. He launches a chain arrow, and the number of defeated opponents reaches 124. The next shot uses a short-range arrow. The number of killed is 125. As a result, his skill rank increases. The skill is obtained, shooting 2, while the attack and range increase by 10 if you always wear a bow. MC is very pleased. This skill was just in time. The battle continues, and there are already 129 defeated opponents. The voices of the opponents are heard that Kudzi is tired, and it is necessary to press more. At this moment, another game skill is acquired. The game seems to tell him Kudzi, only victory is necessary. He pulls back the bowstring. The other players look at the tower in fear. MC fires a shot using a new skill, multi-shot, which allows you to fire up to 10 shots simultaneously within the permissible range. And already 139 defeated opponents. Kudzi, in his enthusiasm, makes another multi-shot. 148 are killed. He pulls back the bowstring to fire a multi-shot. Lines disperse, and Kudzi sees a new player approaching. The leader of the famous group, the Mad Slime, is approaching, clutching the handle of a whip. As he approaches, he increasingly understands that the hero on the tower is his worst enemy. The leader shouts that it is Kudzi who is to blame for the death of the group's servants. MC finally recognizes this player as the leader of the Vandals, the Mad Slime, and replies, "No, they asked for this themselves, to be destroyed." At the same time, he fires a shot. However, the leader simply cuts off the arrow with a sharp swing of his whip. Kudzi is at a loss as to what is happening. The leader, in terrible anger, with a distorted grimace, says that he will not forgive everything that MC did. Kudzi thinks, in front of him, in the person of the leader of the Vandals, there's a very strong and dark personality, most likely with a lot of experience in VR games. MC continues to reflect that he has little chance against such an opponent, and he doesn't even have any good ideas. So he has only one option: continue shooting, but at a long distance, that is, do not change your fighting style. Kudzi begins to fire continuously with ferocity, using all his skills. Shoot, shoot! The words of the leader reach him, and he easily reflects all the arrows. How long are you going to keep shooting? He asks again, grits his teeth, and declares that he cannot be defeated. He will not allow himself to be defeated. Kudzi continues to fire heavily and muses that they will continue to stagnate unless something major changes. The only thing he understands is that the long distance does not allow the opponent to attack. The leader, smiling, concentrates and declares that Kudzi is wrong to continue believing in his own safety. After all, no one knows the secrets of his whip. He spins the whip and throws it far forward, using the secret known only to him of lengthening this magic whip. MC barely manages to dodge such a blow. He can't believe that the enemy was hiding such a trump card. The leader's loud, booming laughter is heard. He is pleased with the course of events. The leader continues to strike with the whip and calls on Kudzi to kneel and beg for forgiveness. MC, heavily defending himself, thinks whether it might be better to get out of the motionless sniper stance. He is faced with a difficult question: what course of action to take next? He decides to shoot at the whip itself. The Vandal leader sees that MC starts shooting at the whip itself and not at the slime around it. He understands that the opponent wants to increase the time interval between attacks by giving back. He decides to change the timing. After a series of attacking actions, the leader understands that despite the change in the direction of attacks, the opponent still continues to hit the whip clearly. He is confused. He doesn't understand where Kudzi gets such accuracy from. The opponents are ready for the decisive attack. Kudzi pulls the bowstring with maximum force, and the leader clutches the whip in his hand, ready to deliver the decisive blow. "Surrender," shouts the Vandal, and sharply raises his gun. The MC declares forward and fires a shot. From such a precise shot right into the handle, the whip breaks. The leader is in complete hysterics and can't realize that his whip has broken. In the game, any weapon or projectile has a durability limit and can break. And this is what happened to the leader's whip. Kudzi realizes the situation and wastes no time in making 2 precise shots to the enemy's head. This is the end of the battle. The leader, saying, "Damn you," falls to his knees and falls face down dead. MC, analyzing the result, recalls that in the game the weapon durability has no digital indicators, but his assumption turned out to be correct. The experience of viewing strategies helped. He has won. His joy knows no bounds. He simply rejoices, standing on the tower and looking around. But he feels like blades have been run over his back. He understands that there is no one else left. At that moment, he hears a cry behind him and the words, "It worked." He looks around. That cat girl is standing in front of him. Kudzi wonders in confusion how she was invisible the whole time. Since he planted a mine at the entrance, how could she get through? The girl sees MC's confusion and explains that she climbed the walls of the tower using her claws. Kudzi realizes that to some extent he was careless. The girl continues. She was right when she initially noticed Kudzi, and the result was a great show. MC believes that this situation is a complete failure. Thus ends the first MC event, a royal battle up to level 10. The organizers hold a celebratory event to sum up the results of the event. They thank the players who took part in event, Battle Royale up to level 10, and announce the results. First place is taken by the player, Nikoko. This is the same cat girl. Her image is broadcast on the central screen located on the square. Kudzi ends up in third place. And the second place goes to the player who hid the entire game and stayed alive. MC can't call this tactic cowardice. It turned out to be a working scheme. But Kudzi has a dull look because he is still a little disappointed. He continues to listen to the announcement of the results. The cat girl who took first place destroyed 5 opponents. The hidden player did not destroy anyone at all. Kudzi listens to the results with disappointment and thinks that maybe he should have just hidden and kept a low profile. The awards by category are announced next. The reward for the largest number of destroyed opponents and the reward for the fastest first destruction of an enemy will go to. At this moment, an image of MC in full combat gear and a smug grin on his face appears on the screen. As a reward, the top 3 receive NSO medals. Kudzi doesn't understand why the organizers chose this screenshot of his to showcase, but he's flattered nonetheless. Third place is third place. As he leaves the venue, Kudzi reflects that as a man he cannot accept such a result, and that next time he will definitely be the winner. Moving with a confident gait, he feels the fire of motivation within himself and considers it good when there's a goal to strive for. Kudzi reflects on the past tournament and recalls how, on the eve of the competition, the players from the so-called group Crazy Slime were actively excited about the upcoming tournament for beginners. They promised to destroy the pathetic newcomers and rise to the top of the rankings. There was a lot of pathos in the advertising, but in the end, none of them even made it into the top 3. Event begins online. One of the players says, maybe the Mad Slime can only talk? Although their reputation is lousy, they are really strong, says another participant in the discussion. One of the losing participants, sadly, says that he tried to keep his level below 10, collected equipment, studied skills, but in the end he quickly lost. In PvP, you can never be 100% sure of your victory. Anything can happen, says the next chat participant. One of the girls, participants of the chat, notes that there were good newcomers in this event. Although the player who took second place was lucky, he hid well. First place was taken by a very calculating participant who did not get into a fight once again. Third place, according to the chat participants, was taken by a player who used some kind of bug. After all, 159 destroyed opponents is just nonsense. One of the chat participants points out that the third participant shot sometimes with his right hand, sometimes with his left hand. Maybe he is ambidextrous? It's still impossible to destroy so many enemies with bow. They continue in the chat. Someone notes that the archer shot from a crazy distance. It is impossible that he put all his points into a dead range. The blonde guy reasons that players at low levels have weak defense. They're easy to kill. At a higher level, this archer strategy becomes ineffective. Who knows, the girl with long hair notes, this archer shoots like a real sniper. Even professional players will have a hard time dealing with him. At this time, news appears in the chat. Crazy Slime released a video with excuses. The video starts with one of the vandals from the group Crazy Slime, who declares that they really did lose. But they don't agree with the results, especially regarding the archer. After this, responses appear in the chat. Sorry, but this is funny. Someone has never heard a more pathetic excuse, huh? Karma has caught up with you. Serves you right. And so on in the same spirit. The vandals call the archer a cheater. All the other chat participants continue to mock the vandal team. They are called a team of half-baked pro player trolls. Noobs. Someone calls for an end to the discussion, because few people will believe the Crazy Slime anyway. The members of Crazy Slime are in the chat and see how the commentators are openly trolling them. The leader of the Mad Slime, browsing the chat alone, thinks he is ready to kill all the participants if they just catch his eye. He is thoughtful and angry, and he is ready to take revenge on Kudzi for the humiliation that MC did to him. A day passed. Kudzi moves through the busy city and thinks he is still annoyed about losing, but he realized something. He was able to kill so many players because he kept them at bay and lost because they were able to get close to him. His tactic of attacking from maximum range so that the enemy cannot attack back is working. He should continue his training in this direction. Kudzi arrives at the NSO metal exchange point. He is greeted by a long-haired brunette who says, "Welcome." She is an exchange office employee. MC approaches the stand with the exchange fund catalog. He believes that first of all it is necessary to improve the equipment and skills. He knows that he has 209 medals for the event. Most of them are received for the number of enemies destroyed. At first glance, this is a large number. But the exchange rate at the point is high, so you need to choose wisely and wisely. Looking around, he thinks this is not an easy task. After some thought, Kudzi decides that he doesn't need fancy gear. He takes a couple of new skills. The female employee agrees with him. MC believes that the only thing missing for a complete set is new equipment. After visiting the exchange point, Kudzi decides to go to a new zone. He had previously read information that equipment could be stored in certain places in this zone. But this was not certain, and perhaps not true. He heads to the designated area and muses that if his information is wrong, he'll just laugh at himself and take a walk. It turned out to be a mountainous area with difficult paths. The expedition was unsuccessful. Kudzi he moves slowly, and after each step taken into a pile of fallen leaves, he feels as if he has lost solid support under his feet. He doesn't have time to figure out what's happening before he falls down with an unimaginable scream. After a painful fall and a slight concussion, Kudzi comes to his senses. He looks around and sees in the pitch darkness a multitude of giant beetles surrounding him. MC is very afraid of bugs and takes emergency measures of self-defense. He uses a teleport arrow, and instantly he finds himself on the surface in the place from where he fell. Kudzi believes that he made the right purchase of the teleport arrow on the metal, which allows the player to move to the place where the released arrow flies. And yet, he considers this too much to be false information. Despite the successful outcome, Kudzi believes that measures must be taken to eliminate the unpleasant breeding ground of bugs in order to prevent such situations from happening to other players. He uses another skill, a flaming arrow, which in addition to burning the enemy, creates a small explosion on impact and deals additional damage. MC fires a series of flaming arrows into the beetle's lair, confident that none of them will survive. Standing near the burning nest, he decides to open a bottle of potion to restore his health. At the same time, he reflects that he acted absolutely correctly and that insect lovers should understand his actions and forgive him. Having finished the potion and restored his health, Kudzi decides to return home. But the thought flashes through his mind that over time the bugs will recover and it would be a good idea to leave a warning of danger in this place. With this thought, he pauses, and at this moment a message comes to him. He has reached the maximum level of an archer. MC dives into the tablet and receives information. He has access to a second profession and a change of class. While Kudzi was completely absorbed in verifying the false information, he did not notice his reward. He returns to the starting town of Falst. For safety reasons, Kudzi returns to the city before changing classes. Sitting on a park bench, he uses a tablet and gets acquainted in detail with new information about further actions in the game. It turns out that it is not possible to choose a second profession independently. The decision to change a profession is made automatically, based on an analysis of the player's previous achievements and skills. Kudzi believes that at the very beginning of the game, he did not show a very good result, so he has a rough idea of what profession he will get. He boldly presses the button, confirming the change of class. Class change confirmed. As a result, he is given the class Archer. Long live evolution, Kudzi says mentally. He gains 10 levels, and his status doubles. The status as a result at the current moment is as follows. Profession, Archer. Level 1, 30th. Health, 75 75ths. Magic, 75 75ths. Attack, 30. Defense, 16. Magic attack, 20. Magic defense, 12. Speed, 22. Range, 100. Upon reaching the maximum level, it will increase its range by another 110. In addition, he received a passive skill, Shooting 5, increasing attack, plus 50, and range plus 50. And now, there is another new skill. This new skill is Critical Shot, which gives a chance for a stronger shot depending on the player's level. Kudzi continues to familiarize himself with the information from the tablet, and believes that although this skill has an element of randomness, it is still better than nothing, and to be honest, he has become much stronger. As a result, it turned out that getting a second profession is not so difficult, and if you consider that Archer is not popular, then this is not the strongest profession. MC believes that it is necessary to modestly rejoice at your legally deserved evolution. So while relaxing in the park, Kudzi lies down and looks at the sky, where monster birds soar beautifully. The sky is cloudy today and there is a strong wind, but the monster birds look calm. MC ponders that in real life, such a bird would not be able to fly. One of the pleasures you get for VRMMO is to feel like you are in a fairy tale and see such unusual beauty. He continues to enjoy the day, and the idea comes to him of trying to hunt the monster birds. Kudzi pulls the bowstring and fires. The slain bird falls down screaming. MC is surprised at how easily he killed the bird with the first shot. Either they are weak or the arrows do a lot of damage to them. He decides to shoot a little more. At that moment, one of the monster birds disappeared into a rare cloud, and the arrow also went into that cloud. Kudzi, analyzing the situation, believes that the bird made a smart maneuver by hiding from the shot, but the arrow does not fall, which means he hit something, although it is not clear what. MC is curious about what's in the clouds, and for good luck, he decides to use a teleport arrow and fires a shot at the cloud. At that very moment, he himself finds himself standing on a cloud. Kudzi is delighted. He did not expect such a result, and he really is floating in the clouds. But it is better not to look down. The height is very high, and his head is spinning. Looking around, he doesn't see anyone. The bird monsters have all disappeared somewhere. At this time, something huge and dark appeared from behind the clouds. Kudzi didn't understand what it was. It reminded him of a huge floating castle, but it flew like a bird, flapping its wings. Looking at the creature's profile, he realized that it was a dragon. This monster flew past the cloud on which the MC is located. It was such a cool sight that Kudzi was speechless and simply went blind. He thought dragons were cool, even as a child. Its appearance alone is the embodiment of strength and coolness. If he can get materials from it and use it to create new weapons or armor, then there's a chance to create special equipment. Dragons are a classic boss in any game. Also, the main characters are often given the power of a dragon. While MC was deep in thought, the dragon didn't even pay attention to him. Kudzi thinks that 3 days have passed since the game started, and now he can be killed, but he can escape. Looking at such a grandiose creature hovering in front of him, MC thinks that this is his strongest opponent to date. Kudzi begins to confidently move along the cloud towards the dragon. He is now an archer, and there is no point in being afraid. He has become stronger and wants to defeat this dragon. With these thoughts, he pulls the string of his bow. Kudzi fires the first shot at the dragon and tries to get its attention by shouting that he is the main enemy. The dragon roars furiously from the arrow wound it received. It turns toward the MC and opens its mouth, showing huge fangs and teeth. Kudzi assesses the situation and believes it is necessary to climb to a higher ridge of clouds. For this, it is necessary to use the teleport arrow. To do anything, and an unknown force transfers him to higher clouds. It becomes clear to MC that these clouds are unusual, and in order to move along them, one only needs to show desire. Meanwhile, the dragon turns around and starts moving towards Kudzi, directing a stream of fiery air from its mouth at him. MC manages to react and jumps to the lower cloud. He turns around and sees that the cloud he was just on is now nothing but ashes. The situation was truly dangerous. At this time, the dragon makes a new turning maneuver, demonstrating all its beauty and power. Meanwhile, in the city, a local brunette girl with a short haircut, in a state of great excitement, runs to the elder, who is busy praying. At this time, the dragon lunges and flies straight at Kudzi. She begins to nervously explain that someone unknown has challenged the dragon of winds and clouds. The headman cannot believe this circumstance. He wonders if the dragon of winds and clouds has accepted the challenge. At the same time, the battle in the sky above the city continues. And Kudzi manages to maneuver with great difficulty. He deftly moves between the clouds and avoids the dragon's attacks. At one point, the dragon rushes towards Kudzi in an attack. He jumps up and does not have time to move to the next cloud and ends up on the dragon, almost falling right into the mouth of this huge monster. He manages to quickly get his bearings and release a teleport arrow, and avoid the danger of returning to the cloud. In the city, meanwhile, the elder listens to the girl in detail and begins to pray. He turns to the Almighty and asks to grant this brave man, who entered into battle with the dragon, unbreakable strength of spirit. At almost the same time, the winner of the rookie event, a cat girl named Nikoko, is training again. Today, she is up against a giant lion. She believes that she has already become accustomed to these hunting grounds and that this is a convenient place for preparation. Despite her past achievements, she needs to become even stronger. At this moment, a notification comes from the game administrators, and the cat girl goes to the terminal to see the updated information. The information terminal is located not far from the starting town of Falst, near a grand structure called the Colosseum. Arriving at Nikoko's place, he learns from the terminal screen that PvP battles are being held on the territory of the Colosseum. Admission to the competition is carried out through battle tickets, issued once a week. Nikoko thinks the information is very interesting, and if she participates in battles, she will be able to gain a lot of valuable combat experience and become much stronger. The girl thinks and immerses herself in memories of past tournaments. She believes that if she participates in PvP battles, a new meeting with the gloomy old man Kudzi is not excluded. But with such flimsy armor, he will not win, unless he changes all his equipment, because last time she won with one blow. Smiling mysteriously, she is sure that by the time they meet again, he will definitely become stronger. In general, she is interested to know where he is now. Meanwhile, Kudzi's battle with the dragon continues above the city. The MC is trying to calculate favorable conditions for an attack. It knows that its maximum range is currently 240 meters. The clouds present in the sky are approximately the same size, about 2 meters. The distance to the dragon is currently 210 meters, so it's not a bad situation. Kudzi shouts forward, rushes into the attack, and fires a series of shots. Many arrows reach their target, and the wounded dragon, with a wild roar, tries to fly as far away as possible. The distance becomes 310 meters. Kudzi realizes that it is quite far away and tries to get closer by moving between the clouds. Now the distance is already 196 meters. MC takes aim and shoots. The dragon is wounded once again. This situation continues to repeat itself. Kudzi realizes that due to the long duration of the battle, his stamina has dropped significantly, and also the number of clouds is becoming less, making it difficult to move. The dragon turns around and, gathering all its strength, flies at great speed straight towards Kudzi. MC understands that it will be difficult to escape the attack and manages to release a teleport arrow at the last moment, and is transferred to the next cloud. During the flight, he loses the feeling of having legs. MC realizes that his legs are gone, and the dragon uses air breathing. Kudzi shouts up, but nothing happens. He realizes that he can't jump, and again uses the teleport arrow to move. He feels very bad and feels that he won't last long. Looking at the dragon preparing for another attack, MC gets the feeling that he has most likely lost. Their eyes meet, and MC feels like giving up and running away. It would be an easy solution, but Kudzi tells himself stop. If he shows weakness, the situation will repeat itself later. He has already succeeded in becoming stronger, and now he has no right to give up. He assumes a motionless sniper stance. He has no right to take a single step back. The dragon must see a serious attitude. Kudzi begins to actively fire at the dragon. At the moment when the dragon's mouth is in close proximity, Kudzi launches a short-range arrow at it. All the city's residents have already taken to the streets, their eyes fixed on the sky. They are watching this grand battle. A huge flash of light appears in the sky. Among the crowd of curious people is also an elder, who is quite emotional about the outcome of the battle. Kudzi asks himself. After a while, Kudzi jumps up with the words, dragon. Around him are unfamiliar people, animals. He cannot understand where he is. Brunette girl happily accepts MC's awakening. Kudzi asks where he is. The events take us to a village called the Hidden Village of the Storm. This village is located on the top of Buri Mountain. Despite its remoteness, the village has good living conditions. The girl happily takes Kudzi's hand and says that all the villagers are grateful for his appearance. She is very happy to report that he has been recognized by the Dragon of Winds and Clouds himself, and he should receive a reward proving his courage. MC is at a loss from such information. He receives the sign of the Dragon of Winds and Clouds. This is a round medallion with the image of a dragon's head and an ornament. To Kudzi that he has won. Even the dog nearby congratulates him, actively licking the hero's face. The girl runs out of the room and says that the elder asked to call him when Kudzi wakes up. He wants to talk. She promises to return soon. MC comes to his senses and remembers the episodes of the last battle. The first thing he does is examine his legs. They are in place, but for their full restoration, an expensive regenerative potion is required. He hopes the potion is sold in this place. Kudzi ponders. It turns out he defeated the dragon, and he wonders what the reward will be. A voice is heard approaching, here and there. An elder enters the room and expresses his joy that Kudzi has finally woken up. MC thanks him for his care and help, and the elder tells Kudzi a local legend. The Dragon of Winds and Clouds appears on windy days when there are many clouds in the sky. To those whose courage it recognizes, the dragon leaves its mark, after which it dissolves into the clouds. The legend of the reincarnation of the Dragon of Winds and Clouds has been passed down in this village for many generations. The elder continues that it is part of the village tradition to give a warm welcome to the bearer of the sign. They will provide him with housing and medicine. Kudzi, thanks for everything. The elder says the discount is valid for the first time a guest appears. Kudzi replies. The elder asks for a favor, since MC has the dragon mark. Kudzi thinks he is being offered a new quest. He asks for forgiveness until he can give a positive answer and first wishes to inspect his reward. The elder is understanding and says that he will be nearby, and if Kudzi changes his mind, he will be happy to talk. I see. Kudzi replies thoughtfully. Kudzi knows that if the player has fulfilled certain conditions, the NPCs in this game will react and behave accordingly. He will simply wait patiently. MC takes advantage of the opportunity to leave the game for a while. Kudzi is at home. As soon as he left the game, he immediately went to the player bag page. Thanks to this service, you can even check the character's status, skills, and items outside the game. On the first page, he is suddenly offered a vest called Haori of Storms, which has defense 45, magic defense 75. Kudzi is surprised by such high parameters of this item, because the protection of the body is the most important when choosing armor. He is surprised that this one even has a skill. Skill, Gust of Wind, which creates a gust of wind in the specified direction. This is a simple but effective skill, may come in handy. He additionally receives a cape, Wind Hakama, has defense 40, magic defense 60. The characteristics parameters are weaker than those of the Haori, but it has a unique skill, a whirlwind, which significantly slows down the speed of falling and reduces the overall weight, which allows it to cope with gusty winds. And the last reward is the Tabi of Clouds, which gives speed 80. Leg gear is usually geared towards speed, and this is all logical. And the last interesting skill is Floating Cloud. This skill allows you to create a climbable cloud for 5 minutes. You can create 3 clouds per hour. In total, the MC will be able to stay in the air for 15 minutes within an hour. Kudzi was so busy getting new gear and skills that he didn't notice the notification. Colosseum. This is very interesting for him. The next day arrives. MC, dressed in new ammunition and in full combat readiness, comes to the Elder. Kudzi states that he has some free time and is ready to talk. The Elder greets him with joy and is ready to tell him everything. Falls first and try out the new armor in the Colosseum. But he figures there's still some interesting gear in the village, and he doesn't want to ignore the Elder, so he's ready to talk. The Elder begins the conversation by saying that he has a simple request. There's a monster on Storm Mountain that is attacking the villagers, and he would like Kudzi to deal with it, the 100-eyed lizard. MC believes that it will be more convenient for him to start this as soon as he collects the entire set, skills, and ammunition available at the moment. And the first thing he would like to do, of course, is go to the Colosseum. Given the circumstances, and as a sign of gratitude to the villagers, Kudzi cannot refuse the request. He and the Elder set off to Mount Buri to personally see the situation on the spot. Storm Mountain turned out to be very high, with almost vertical ascents. The Elder looks down from the cliff and says that this is where the 100-eyed lizard comes from, and it must be defeated before it reaches the village. MC understands the quest to protect the village. Inspecting the future battlefield, he understands that the approaching enemy will have a powerful psychological impact. In addition, difficulties arise due to the fact that the lizard will climb from the bottom up. In this situation, it will be difficult for him to aim and shoot. For long-range fighters like him, the situation is more or less acceptable, but in close combat, tactics under such conditions are unclear. The Elder continues to say that he will provide support for the battle. At this moment, a magical support in the form of a cloud elevator appears behind him. Kudzi instantly finds himself on top of this support, which works on the principle of an elevator. If you squat, the cloud begins to descend. If you stand up straight, the cloud begins to rise. MC intuitively understands the principle of operation, and he believes that with such skills, he is quite capable of giving battle to the lizard. The Elder wishes good luck and disappears into thin air. Kudzi knows that the Elder's disappearance is not a bug, but a feature of the game. At this point, he is already in an isolated combat space. The battle will be only part of the entire quest. According to the rules, you can fight the conditional boss of the location, or you can simply run away, but the combat space is surrounded by invisible walls. It is impossible to escape from it. Kudzi stands in full battle readiness on the cloud elevator and contemplates. His fight will continue until one of 2 results occurs: victory or defeat. At this time, strange, inexplicable sounds began to appear in the sky. The same 100-eyed lizard began to appear from afar. MC takes bow, aims at the many eyes of this monster, and makes a multi-shot. At the same time, he notices that the lizard moves slowly and is quite easy to hit. He fires another multi-shot, followed by another, and again. All shots hit the target, and the lizard makes an attempt to retreat. It opens its mouth and sticks out its huge tongue, at the end of which an eye is visible. Kudzi has seen the enemy's weak spot and uses the skill Gust of Wind, and he shoots an arrow along this stream, thereby increasing the strength and range of the attack. He continues to fire continuously. In addition, he uses a short-range arrow. The lizard can hardly bear this series of attacks, and in response, sends a flock of flying one-eyed monsters. Kudzi manages to count the monsters flying at him. There are about 30 of them, but the situation does not change, and he continues shooting. At this moment, pitch darkness falls, but the monster's eyes light up. And this means only one thing, Kudzi thinks. beams. Monsters shoot out multiple beams that MC has a hard time dodging. At the same time, the monsters move at high speed, and he miraculously manages to avoid collision and stay in place. Having returned to the starting position, the MC believes that it is necessary to immediately begin firing at the opponent. Thus began a rather long battle. A big plus of Kudzi's situation is the presence of a skill, a special air attack that allows you to kill flying monsters with one shot. The quest that Kudzi entered into was for those with the sign of the dragon of winds and clouds. Serious monsters in MMOs usually require a group of participants with a good level of health. Kudzi went solo, so the fight will be long-term and there is nothing to be done. Without knowing it, MC signed up for hell. Due to the long duration of the fight, Kudzi's back began to hurt. Overcoming all the difficulties, he still manages to win this long and difficult battle. Following the battle, MC does not receive any rewards or additional bonuses in the form of equipment. He thinks that he has not fulfilled some other requirements. After the battle, Kudzi returns to the village, meets with the elder, and reports the victory over the monster. He thanks him for the test he has passed and asks to accept his gratitude. Bowing low to the waist, the elder asks for forgiveness for the deception he has shown, and he begins to lay out the whole situation. Because of its location, the village is effectively isolated from the world. But at some point, trade with other settlements began. There were some savvy newcomers who began to forge the dragon sign to get a warm welcome. The fakes turned out to be very high quality, and the villagers could not distinguish them from the real ones. Those who provide the sign are treated and then asked to deal with the monster. If the traveler manages to kill the monster, then they will continue to provide hospitality. The monster is a spirit controlled by the priests of the lizard village. Kudzi now understands why he did not receive any money or items. He happily said that he was not angry about the deception and even gained interesting experience. MC is about to leave, but the elder stops him and tells him that hospitality includes more than just discounts. He offers to take 2 pieces of equipment as a gift. Kudzi is delighted with the gift because it is an air set. It includes, first of all, cloud-piercing gloves, which give attack 35, defense 15, and range 50. They protect the fingers that pull the bowstring, while their attack is higher than that of the gorilla gloves. But the advantage of the gorilla gloves is their unique skill. Both skills will come in handy in any case, depending on the situation. The second item is an elegant scarf, gives HP 30 and MP 70. Kudzi is known to have hats that increase both HP and MP, which is timely because his MP drains quickly. The elder continues, there is one more piece of equipment left. It is kept in the village treasury. In addition, he asks not to forget the courage that MC showed when he challenged the dragon. And finally, he simply wishes good luck. The next day arrives. Kudzi has traveled a long way and arrived at the Colosseum. He is standing near the grandiose structure. MC thinks it's time to check how good his new equipment is. Near the Colosseum, he receives information that it is possible to take part in various PvP battles here. To do this, he needs to obtain a battle ticket. Kudzi heads to the entrance of the Colosseum, where the administrator hands him a ticket, and he smiles, very pleased with this fact, realizing that this time he too will be able to take part in the battle. When he was given the ticket, he was informed that the winner would be the player who destroyed the greatest number of opponents. After presenting an entrance ticket, he goes to a small pedestal, which is where he waits to be matched with an opponent. The game's information system sorts players by their level of readiness. Unlike the royal battle, there is no hiding here. All that remains is to fight. This is the ideal condition for PvP practice. The system provides information. The search is complete. The transition is taking place. Kudzi is transported almost to the center of the arena, where there are a large number of players around. Looking around, MC thinks that there are about 100 players here. There are no free seats. He assumed such a situation. And everyone is burning eyes. Information is received 10 seconds before the start. He notices that there are especially many players around him with burning eyes, and he could be easy prey. 2 seconds. Kudzi is extremely collected and cannot let his guard down. 1 second. As soon as the start signal sounds, Kudzi uses the skill Gust of Wind, followed by Whirlwind. Here he is already on a floating cloud, towering above everyone, while the cloud is practically motionless. Everyone around is in a state of shock from the unexpectedness of such actions. While in a state of flight on a cloud, Kudzi activates the secret technique skill, Rain of Arrows, which allows clouds to form around the bow, launching arrows for 5 minutes. Arrow Rain is a secret technique of the Storm Bow weapon, with an attack of 100 and a range of 80. Unlike normal skills that only require mana, this one has a cooldown. Until this time is over, the technique cannot be used again. The attack is massive. The arrows themselves hit weakly, and the probability of hitting weak points is low. The damage goes well for those who pumped up evasion of attacks, but for players with high defense, the damage is not particularly critical. The most vulnerable are those who destroy arrows with attack skills. In the end, 38 opponents were defeated. Kudzi thinks that it was a good job thinning out the players. One could even say that it was too good a result due to the surprise. At this time, one of the players rushes up to the MC using the effect of a towering cliff, and the other makes long jumps in flight using the walls of the Colosseum and also tries to attack Kudzi, who is standing on a cloud. MC, despite feeling afraid, is captivated by the battle. He is interested in how it will all end given the skills he just acquired. He must train hard to prepare for the next event, the Battle of the Three Kingdoms. The rules are still unknown, but everyone already knows one thing for sure. Ranks don't matter in this event. They will have to fight with the best players who have already leveled up to the third profession. To be continued. Thanks for watching. Write your feedback in the comments. If you like the story, please like and subscribe. See you soon.